I shouldn't have to preface this video by saying that celebrating the death of somebody is not a good thing. But since we live in a world now where everything is so clinically retarded, it feels like the right thing to do to start by saying, do not celebrate people's death. Regardless of how you feel about them, it's just not a good thing. It shows that you're inhuman. But I guess it all depends on context. But anyway, y'all know my stance on pro wrestling, and there's an article that came out recently from Sports Illustrated. As y'all know, Mick Foley severs ties with WWE and reveals the exact reason why. This is from Sports Illustrated. Mick Foley is done with WWE until Donald Trump is no longer the president of the United States. Okay, so just until he's no longer the president of the United States. So some of y'all might not know, Mick Foley has TDS, like bad TDS. A lot of wrestlers are like that. We saw Jim Cornette and Ricochet. Jim Cornette, always critical, but always goofy. And Ricochet, also always goofy. Wrestlers are just as bad as Hollywood actors and basically any mainstream celebrity. They have TDS, they're deranged. That's just the way they are. WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley announced in a social media post on Tuesday morning that he's parting ways with WWE. I don't care. I don't care. I wish I could say I cared, but I don't. Foley made headlines by criticizing WWE and TKO Group for supporting Donald Trump. How? I have to ask these questions. Like, the reason I say I don't care is because it's like, okay, that's his decision. He can leave WWE. He's not even on TV. He has no contributing role. He might be an ambassador or a writer or something, but like that's his decision to do that. The only reason I'm covering it is for my own interest, which is that I think it's funny that it's such a weird thing that we are now culturally where it's like if you support Donald Trump, you have to sever ties with your own job. When people start doing that, he's going to start leading the message. Hey, out of principle, you should separate yourself and sever ties from the industry you work in because Donald Trump might be involved. But not everybody's a millionaire like Mick Foley. So a lot of people would just be losing their jobs off of principle and then being homeless after. Now he has put his money where his mouth is. Foley took to Instagram and explained why he's leaving the company. It has everything to do with Donald Trump because Donald Trump broke this man. This is what Mick Foley had to say, parting ways with WWE. While I have been concerned about WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, what close relationship? Is it because of what Triple H was doing with RFK and Stephanie? Is that what it is? Which is about making people healthy? I don't know. I'm not going to take health advice from a guy who jumps off of cages and doesn't look like he eats very well. Especially in light of this administration's ongoing cruel and inhumane treatment of immigrants. Oh no, the inhumane and cruel treatment of immigrants. How about the inhumane and cruel treatment of American citizens by these so-called immigrants who come into our country illegally and stab young women and rape young women? How about that, Mick Foley? I guess you don't care about people like Irina on the train. I'm sure you don't recall that at all. You probably had no sympathy for Charlie Kirk. You probably had no sympathy for any of those Catholic children that were shot up by trans shooters. Never mind any of that kind of stuff. It's always political violence on the right, apparently, according to people like Mick Foley. And pretty much anyone who looks like an immigrant. Reading the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death is the final straw for me. Now, I have to say this. I did not follow Rob Reiner on social media. I did not really care for his politics that much. But it's a sad thing to see that Rob Reiner passed away. I don't think people should be celebrating it. I don't think people should be downplaying it. I'm more indifferent. That's why I didn't cover it on my channel. I just did not want to say anything because I had nothing to say. I do think it's a sad event though, and it's not something that should be treated with lightness. And the fact that Donald Trump, President Trump, said some pretty cruel things about Rob Reiner's death, I'm not a fan of. I do not agree with that, and I do not stand by that. And I understand why that could have caused Mick Foley to have the final straw, but let's be clear here. Mick Foley probably thinks that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. Mick Foley probably thinks that American citizens get what they deserve every time they vote for Donald Trump. Whenever they see, whenever a trans person comes out and shoots a bunch of children, or an immigrant stabs somebody, he probably thinks that they deserve it. Foley continued and confirmed that he reached out to WWE Talent Relations to give them the news, which had a caveat in it. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles to a man so seemingly void of compassion. Fuck off. Fuck off. You were employed under Vince McMahon while he was whoring out, WWE talent to other WWE talent. You were employed while Vince McMahon was in power. You were just as guilty as John Laurinaitis and Brock Lesnar and whoever else is involved in that case. I don't want to hear none of this void of compassion bullshit. He probably doesn't care that Ava said horrible things about Charlie Kirk after his death, that all of these other wrestlers probably felt the same way. It's not about principles. It's about partisan loyalty. It's about having TDS. It's about being so mentally broken that you actively quit your job because you're scared to death of Orange Man. As he marches around our country towards autocracy, yeah, fucking whatever. Whatever. You support Ukraine. Last night, I informed WB Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office. That doesn't really matter. You haven't been making appearances for the company at all in like 2 years. Yeah, exactly. Foley made his last television appearance in 2023. Exactly. Showed up on NXT to announce Iron Survivor challenges. He announces his Legends deal will end in June, but he won't be signing a new one. Here's the actual Instagram post. Additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when the current one expires in June. I love WWE and will treasure my time with them. I deeply appreciate all the opportunities they afforded me, but in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. Dude, it's not like they're asking you to. You're not mining the coals, bro. You're not mining the coals. This is all extra fluff to pad out the thing, but Mick Foley quits WWE because he's got TDS, and there's other wrestlers out there that are just as bad as he is that are going around saying, "Oh, I respect this man because he's got principles." No, he probably wouldn't have quit WWE if every single other wrestler was talking shit about Charlie Kirk or had horrible things to say about Republicans or Donald Trump, and just like violence begets violence. I get it. Like a lot of people are this is more about partisan loyalty. This is more about being loyal to the anti-Trump crowd, being loyal to the Democratic side, probably full-on Zionist. Far be it for me to judge. I like Mick Foley as a wrestler, not so much as a person. He's proven that he's deranged, and this is not about principles. I cannot stress that enough. He is virtue signaling. He is doing this for attention. And guess what? You got the attention you wanted, Mick Foley. You got what you wanted, dog. So all the people that are in the wrestling industry, I just want y'all to know that y'all carnies, your entire paycheck, your way of life is based off of the fans' luxury. So whenever the fans start leaving, that's it for you, dog. You want to go back to wrestling in empty arenas like it's the pandemic, lose all the fans, this is what's going to happen. But of course, there's plenty of pro wrestling fans out there that are still hardcore TDS as well. And not to say that I'm sitting here defending Republicans and all that. I have my problems with Donald Trump too, but I would never quit my job just because it might be associated with Donald Trump. I might quit my job because it might be associated with little hat people, but that's a different story. Still, this is virtue signaling from somebody who's a millionaire, who's a Hollywood actor, WWE wrestler, mainstream. It's just sad and pathetic. But let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll go ahead and say it. Fuck Mick Foley.